Alright, I'm continuing my slight little love affair with Rolex today. So Rolex haters beware, this is your trigger warning. And I promise, well, I don't want to promise, but I'm pretty sure this will be the last one for a while. So breathe a sigh of relief if you're not a huge Rolex fan. But I wanted to talk about the Yacht Master. But before we get started, quick wrist check. Rolex Explorer 2 Polar, wearing it today, still enjoying it. Catch the video if you haven't already, where I give a little review on it, talk about how I got it, I guess, and why I'm wearing it. Which brings me to the watch today, which is the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Yacht Master 37 in slate with platinum. So this is not my watch. To start with, it's too small for me. But it's actually a lovely watch that my wife has, and I want to talk about it. It kind of gave me the idea to do a separate video, which I think I might do, which is talking again about Rolex prices. Not because they're good for investment, just for those of you who love Rolexes, but maybe because of the stupid market haven't been able to get the one you love. I think there's some good news ahead, at least on some, but not all models. The Yacht Master, I mean, what watch is that really? I think one of the best ways to describe it is a fancier version, to a degree, of a Rolex Submariner. Except it's got slightly less functionality. It's 100 meters water resistant instead of 300. But at the end of the day, who cares? Because 100 meters, people, is more than enough for the average punter, such as myself, and probably for you watching. But yes, having said that, I love the subby, you know I do. It's actually over there on the watch winder right now. But I'm never going to use it to its full capacity. I'm just going to continue to be in love with it for other reasons. So the Yacht Master is definitely kind of like an, I don't know, it kind of screams a little bit more upmarket in terms of its vibe and its look and its feel. Not to be mistaken with the Yacht Master 2, which I still think is not the most attractive watch in the world. It's definitely not the watch for me. It's the one that I was given to try on in Rolex Rant Part 1. It wasn't this watch. If they gave me this watch and I tried it on, I probably would have enjoyed it. It's probably more similar, I must admit, in terms of look and feel to the Omega Seamaster. But again, you've seen my video in comparison on that. They're two different watches in terms of the subby and the Seamaster. But even if you were to do the Yacht Master, I think you'd find, again, whilst there's similarities, they're different for their own sort of reason. So this is the Yacht Master 37, so it retails for about 17,000 Australian dollars. This particular model was picked up at auction for less than the retail price. So one of the Rolexes that you can now pick up for, if not the same, slightly under retail, which is pretty good value. Now, whilst this is an older model, circa 2003 to 2011, it's in exceptionally good condition. There's hardly any nicks, scratches on it, wear and tear, etc. So it looks great. You probably wouldn't know unless you put it under a microscope that it was basically secondhand. It's got the slate dial, which I think is quite, it pops. It makes it actually look really, really nice. It's got the platinum bezel with the Oystersteel bracelet, which makes it slightly more heftier, a little bit more expensive, hence the posh factor compared to the Submariner. It's got the 60-minute graduated bidirectional bezel, which doesn't click. So it doesn't have that satisfying click like the subby does, but it feels great. Like, it's so smooth, it's great, I love it. So I missed the clickiness of the bezel. I actually enjoyed the feel and the smoothness of this bezel in rotating it. I'm probably never going to rotate it for a useful function other than to just fidget. So from that point of view, I think it's totally fine for me. You've also got the Cyclops window for the date, which you've heard my view on this. I used to think in the store it was like butt ugly, but from a practical functional point of view, it actually works really well in real life. It's also on here. yeah, I mean, the older I get, the harder it is to decipher some of the things I read. So the Cyclops actually works to my advantage now. But yeah, I still think in a store on its own like that, it sticks out like a sore thumb, or dog's balls, depending on how you want to put it. But in the field, it works very, very well. So what do I know, Rolex? You guys are onto a winner here. Now this particular one is 37 millimeters. So I think it comes in 37 millimeter and 40 millimeter. The 37 millimeter is actually an exceptionally good size. As I said, this is my wife's watch. She's got a smaller wrist than me. I've got quite a chunky wrist along with the rest of me. But it looks fabulous on her wrist. The only practical gripe with this is the bracelet doesn't have the newer quick adjust, and I've been unable, whilst I've been able to size the bracelet, I have been unable to work out the quick adjust of this bracelet. There are notches in there that I can use. I've tried using the tool squeezers, tweezers I should say, and I haven't been able to do it. So that's frustrated me a little bit, because we're about one notch in, I think, from getting it to fit perfectly on her wrist. If I take out another link, it's going to be too tight. So I'll persevere with that, and I'm sure I'll figure it out at some point when I can devote more than 5 minutes to it, to think about it. The power reserve is approximately 55 hours as compared to the 70 hours on the Submariner. Look, if it's an everyday wear, it probably doesn't matter that much. I still have watch winders. People have differing views on those, but we tend to keep ours in watch winders so we can kind of just pick them up and go. It's in particular more important, I've found, when you've got a date on your watch, to have a watch winder, because I'm perpetually trying to set the date and time, and then if I've got the GMT, it's just a thing, I can't stand it. It's just a laziness factor rather than anything else. But 55 hours is pretty substantial, having said that. And whilst it's not 70, I think it's more than enough for the average punter. And a Rolex wouldn't be a Rolex without its fantastic lume. Chromalight, I think, is what they like to call it. I love this little light, by the way. This little UV light is hours of joy and entertainment for me. But look at that. I will admit, the lume on a Rolex is outstanding. It's almost better than anything else I've got, other than my Panerais, which the lume on those really is fantastic. And because of the indices, or the numerals I should say, numbers, whatever you want to call it, on those dials, they're just so easy to read. They're fucking fantastic. But in terms of actual lume, I mean, they're pretty good. You can see the older sort of 2002 versus probably, I think it's 2011, this watch, even though it's circa 2003 to 2011, but this is a later model. I can't remember the exact date that they sort of guesstimated on this, because remember, it's an auction. Someone will understand much better than I will with the serial number. I think it starts with OU. So if you can tell me what year that is, guys, based on that, that'd be great. You know me, not an expert, and I couldn't be bothered Googling it. So my thoughts on this watch, whilst I probably, even though it's an exceptionally nice watch actually, I probably wouldn't buy one. It's beautiful. It's very elegant. I think the tiny sort of bit of platinum gives it that little bit of an elevated feel in terms of luxuriousness to it, and fanciness, posh, whatever you want to say. But it's a beautiful watch. It's very understated. I think that's what I really like about this watch. It's a Rolex, but it's not an ostentatious Rolex. It's one of the reasons I guess I love the sport models so much, the steel models, because they're very understated. It just irritates me that they cost so much because they're so popular, right? Because at their heart, they're still sports watches. They're meant to be knocked about and worn day to day. This is kind of an elevated version of that, because it's got a mix of steel and platinum to give it that sort of next level luxury, if I can put it that way. And you know, someone said to me, Jamie, my mate from J&J Hacking Time, the podcast I'm on, he said to me, this Rolex is like a connoisseur's Rolex, if you will, in the sense that it's, if he sees this Rolex on, in particular, a female's wrist, he knows that female knows their watches, and has discerning taste when it comes to their watches and their Rolex. So I think that's an excellent comment. He's paid my wife. And I think, you know, he's probably right. This Rolex looks fantastic on her wrist. I know that this has quickly become her favorite in the collection. She recently got a Reverso, which I think she's equally in love with, but completely different watch, right? But this, I think, really is her favorite, and dare I say, like the daily wearer. And yeah, it's kind of like this watch in the sense that I feel comfortable kind of just, I reckon I could just wear this one anywhere, including travel, because I know travel with Rolex is a really big deal in particular countries, and you kind of wouldn't. But it feels like these ones you could get away with because they're understated elegance. People who know Rolexes will know them, but people who I think are looking for, like, I don't know, like an easy mark, maybe not so much. No, I could have that wrong. I could be talking complete bollocks. But that's the story I'm going to stick to, at least for now. But yeah, I'm continuing my little love affair with Rolex. It's not my watch, but I am appreciating it from afar, or not so far in this case. And this just kind of hits all the right tones for me, all the right marks. And yeah, I mean, is it a posher version of a Submariner to an extent with lesser functionality? Yes. I'm not suggesting it's a dive watch, but it's definitely a water sports watch for the discerning yachter. I don't even think that's the right term, but for someone who sails, oh god, a sailor, Jess, that's terrible. Yeah, check out this Rolex Yacht Master 37 slate with platinum and Oystersteel. I think it's a great little watch. Like I said, retails around the 17,000 Australian mark. I don't know. It's an elegant, beautiful, understated Rolex that obviously you can get at a good price secondhand right now, if you're that way inclined. Until next time, like, subscribe, do all those things, tell your friends. Don't forget to check out the podcast, J&J Hacking Time. We've had TGV from the Urban Gentry on, great conversation. We've had the Borzell boys talking about watches, and we're soon to drop, probably by the time this video is up anyway, our Talking Timepieces with Tony. Tony was a great guest, so much fun to talk to. You'll love it. And until next time, have a great week.